What's up, my fellow profane? I'm hankpirrone, and I'm back with you on this beautiful Saturday, July 31st, 2021. What have you guys been seeing on the news? It's kind of interesting, isn't it? They're talking about new lockdowns, mask mandates, vaccine requirements, while they let millions of people flow into the country through the southern border unchecked. You guys figure out what's going on yet? Because if not, your fucking eyes are probably painted on. I want to talk to you a little bit about, I want to go back to the beginning of the pandemic, because there's something you need to see. If you're still taking all this shit seriously, I have something that's going to help you get over that. Some of you may have seen this. It was an exercise called Event 201. And the actual event took place on October 18th, 2019. in the Pierre Hotel in New York City, and I have a link because the video or the website's still up. It's put on by the Center for Health Security, also by Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, the World Economic Forum, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I know, it's shocking. Let me read the scenario for this guy. Just remember, this is a couple months before anyone ever heard of COVID-19, okay? Event 201 simulates an outbreak of a novel zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats to pigs to people that eventually becomes efficiently transmissible from person to person, leading to a severe pandemic. The pathogen and the disease it causes are modeled largely on SARS, but it is more transmissible in the community setting by people with mild symptoms. Oh, like the guys without symptoms that are transmitting everything. What do they? I forget what they call them, but yeah, shocking. The disease starts in pig farms in Brazil quietly and slowly at first, but then it starts to spread more rapidly in healthcare settings, like nursing homes. When it starts to spread efficiently from person to person in the low-income, densely packed neighborhoods of some of the megacities in South America, the epidemic explodes. It is first exported by air travel to Portugal, the United States, and China, and then to many other countries. Although at first some countries are able to control it, it continues to spread and be reintroduced, and eventually no country can maintain control. There is no possibility of a vaccine being available in the first year. There is a fictional antiviral drug that can help the sick but not significantly limit the spread of the disease. Since the whole human population is susceptible, during the initial months of the pandemic, the cumulative number of cases increases exponentially, doubling every week. And as the cases and deaths accumulate, the economic and societal consequences become increasingly severe. The scenario ends at the 18-month point with 65 million deaths. The pandemic is beginning to slow due to the decreasing number of susceptible people. The pandemic will continue at some rate until there is an effective vaccine or until 80 to 90% of the global population has been exposed. From that point on, it is likely to be an endemic childhood disease. Yeah, so these guys think you are so stupid, right, that they put this out a couple months before they started the pandemic, right? This is literally an exercise that lines everything out. The only change is they made it in come out of South America instead of China, but I mean, even starting in bats, like, are you wow. You know, and the bad guys always do this. Look, the evil entities, for some reason, always have to let you know what they're doing. And then they laugh at you because it's right in front of you and you don't get it, you don't see it. So before you mask up and get more injections, maybe take a look at this Event 201 scenario and website that they actually war gamed out on October 18th, 2019 in the Pierre Hotel. It might change your view about some stuff if you're still wavering about anything. I don't know if you guys follow Monkey Werx. I'm going to put a link to his YouTube channel in the description box, but he's been talking about He's been showing flights. He uses a program called Flight Aware, and he tracks flights all over the U.S., military flights, commercial flights, everything. He's a retired military aerospace guy, so he's pretty savvy on everything. And he's been showing planes taking immigrants from border towns like Brownsville and flying them out to different cities across the country. You know, and we know they're separating families at the border, right? 'Cause women and children are getting stuck in those camps, and then all the military age males, like 18 to 45, get spread out across the country. Why would they be doing that? Well, you got to remember what's not been in the news lately. That should be in the news at the top of every channel every day, and that's the Arizona audits. And they actually finished up a couple days ago, and now they're getting ready to make their report to the Arizona Senate. But none of the corrupted news stations talk about that. They don't want, you know, there's an agenda, whether it's Fox, CNN, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. All that does is change how they disseminate the information. You know, the CNN knows they can just scream communism and their listeners gobble it up. You know, Fox is for people that lean to the right a little bit more, and so they just coerce them and kind of pretend and sucker them in, which I think is more dangerous, really. But all of them are garbage. You know, so the fact that they would even try to say that they're going to lock the country down again, that, you know, it's us spreading this disease that who knew if it even exists in the first place, right? But everybody's spreading this terrible, deadly disease, but they're letting people flood in across the border, millions at a time, mostly actually coming up through Central America and like Guatemala and stuff. A lot of the immigrants aren't, you know, from Mexico. They're just being funneled up through Mexico. So, you know, people from the Middle East, from all over the place coming in. So the deep state knows that we're going to have these audit results come out pretty soon. And people are going to start asking for the restoration of the proper civilian authority in the country, right? And I think a lot of people are woke up now to where, you know, that wouldn't actually cause a lot of rioting. So they have to have a way to create civil unrest so they can declare martial law and, you know, stuff everything. And that would be where the immigrants getting bused and flown to different cities come in. You know, that'll be the new Antifa. Those will be the new soldiers for it. So don't let that kind of stuff fool you. And remember that the worst thing that could happen is for you to fall into that trap, to arm up and try to do anything about that. Stay at home and protect your castle, you know. Protect yourself. Protect your neighbors. You know, like this, it's probably going to be more civil unrest, people breaking windows. I mean, by all means, protect your stores, you know. But don't go looking for trouble, because that's just going to fuel the need for martial law. And we know there's already UN troops in the country on the East Coast. And there was reports of some UN troops seen up in Canada on the border. So, you know, the Democrats know that the bulk of the United States military is not gonna fight against its people. So maybe they'll call the UN to help. It's all part of the one world government agenda anyways, just like Event 201 was, you know? Like, if you can create enough global events, if you can scare enough people, if you can trick enough people, which isn't hard, and that is really embarrassing. The only actual pandemic that we have in this country is fucking fear and cowardice. That's the real pandemic. You know, people not having enough faith in God, people just being cowards and running when the TV tells them to run, jumping when it tells them to jump. It's sickening. People have to wake up. You know, how many more times are you gonna let them fool you? That's the question. Like, is this just, if we've been dumbed down that far? I mean, they posted it on the internet, and, you know, I mean, look at the players. Look at the players that wargamed Event 201. I mean, it really says it all. I don't know why this wasn't getting beat on more and more, as this progressed, but I guess no one could get any airtime on anything anyways because, they were busy showing empty refrigerated trucks outside of hospitals. Yeah. Also, something I want to look at. I have an article, Breitbart. It says core inflation hits the highest level in 30 years. And guys, with the amount of money that they're printing and spending, the value of the toilet paper Federal Reserve note, I mean, it doesn't even make a good cigarette paper. Like it's garbage. So if you don't have any gold or silver or precious metals or something to protect your assets, to protect your wealth, like the dollar could go, I mean, you're already seeing it in lumber, which I think they're price shocking, and other commodities. You have to think about it. It's a currency backed by nothing, printed freely, and then charged a huge national debt back to it. It's they wanted to create an elastic currency, and they created an elastic currency. So protect yourself. A lot of the online places are sold out of gold and silver, but a lot of the local coin shops and stuff have materials still. So, you want to shop local anyways, like give some money to the little guy and help yourself at the same time. I know I'm not endorsing any certain place. I get no money for doing this. This is just my opinion, and I'm not a financial advisor, so take it for what you will. You don't need to be a brain surgeon, though. Not that I hold brain surgeons in that high esteem anymore. The doctors in general, maybe the brain surgeons. But, use your head. The metals will always be worth something. It's the only thing throughout history that's retained its value. Gold and silver, the only constitutional legal monies we have. Everything else is a currency. And if it's not backed by a precious metal, the currency is only worth the value that you give to it at the current time. And the problem is, when the inflation hits, everyone realizes it's garbage at the same time. And before you can get rid of it, it tanks. So try to protect yourself. There's an article on The Blaze where Dan Crenshaw, representative from the great state of Texas, is saying not to comply with any more lockdowns, any mandates, any of it, right? So that's a U.S. congressman. I think that's pretty telling, and especially being in Texas where they're, it shares the longest border. They have the most border shenanigans going on. When the congressmen are even saying that it's a joke, like, then it's got to that point. I think Crenshaw's a pretty good dude. I just want to remind you, too, of one little line from Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. People who will not use their intelligence are no better than animals who do not have intelligence. Such people are beasts of burden and stakes on the table by choice and consent. Don't be those people. Don't be a stake. Wake up. Take your masks and set them on fire. Throw them in the fucking garbage. Do something with them, but don't wear them. I mean, this shit is out of control. It's really time to stand up and say no. Tell the politicians no. Call your sheriff's departments. Call your representative and say, hey, are you guys going to enforce this unconstitutional stuff? The sheriffs are really the ones that have actual jurisdiction locally, and the sheriffs can make or break these laws. So you really need to find out what's at the core of your sheriff's department, who these guys are, what their character is, and if they're going to uphold the oath that they swore to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States of America. Other than that, you guys have a great day. God bless.